All right, so what's up, everyone? Rissa Vibes here, aka Readings by Rissa. Super excited to connect with you as always. Today we are doing a reading that covers the energy of this week, which is June 13th to June 20th, 2021. And today, specifically, the biggest message that we're going to cover this week is all about feeling better with and around the energy of surrender. And this is a big message that's come through for me this rising, actually, but has been one that has been super important for the collective. And my guides have been really, really communicative with me about bringing this message forth. Okay, so we're going to do it a lot like we did last week. If you tuned into the reading last week, you know that I switched things up for my birthday and I started to pull cards as I detail the spirit messages. And that's a really fun way to add even more spirit messages to the notes that I'm already bringing forth from my meditations and tapping into the collective energy. Okay, so we're going to do it just like last time. And just a quick review of last time, not to get too deep into it, but last week we did talk about the importance of networking and really putting yourself out there, recognizing any wounds around that energy, and also really finding balance amongst duality as we tapped into that new moon in Gemini last week and are integrating that now. So this week, we are going to tap into the energy of surrender and much more, okay? So right off the bat, we want to talk about the energy of our relationship with surrender, okay? This week, we really are going to be called to understand where we are not surrendering, what we are not surrendering to, what we're trying to control or force, and what we haven't really fully trusted in that allows us to surrender completely to what we need to do, what is in the present moment, and the way in which our path is unfolding. All right, so I want you to take a little moment as you breathe here to just feel into your relationship with surrender and just get an idea of how you usually respond to the feeling of surrender. Or do you even know what that feeling feels like? Because that is an important thing to recognize. A lot of us are so focused on controlling things that we don't even know how to surrender, or we can't even recognize when we do start to surrender. Or maybe it feels so uncomfortable that we instantly pull ourselves out of it, right? So as we focus on our relationship with surrender, Spirit's giving us a message about understanding our masks, okay? Understanding our masks. Now, I hope you can see this card. This is the Melting Mask card. It's the number 16 card, okay? When we surrender, we start to notice where we've been holding on to control, where we've been putting on a mask that isn't actually true to what is real, and also where we have been kind of cheating ourselves or lying to ourselves about how much we trust or how much surrender we've really adopted to, right? This was kind of a message for me this rising as well, where I thought I've been surrendering more than usual the last few weeks, but after a really beautiful ceremony with Hape, I felt this guidance from Mary Magdalene about what real surrender is, where you literally let go of everything. You don't even feel your muscles holding on to anything anymore. You don't feel your heart holding on to anything anymore. And you don't feel your mind holding on to anything anymore. And when you do that, there's this kind of unveiling of what's true. You start to see what things you've been holding on to that represent delusions or illusions or lies to yourself that aren't really honoring the true reality of things, right? Maybe the truth that you aren't actually surrendering as much as you thought, right? Or the truth that you haven't really done the work that you thought you were doing. You haven't done it fully. Maybe you've only been doing some of the work, but not all of the work, right? But you've been trying to convince yourself that you have been. This is the melting mask aspect. And it's a little bit hard to see, where we're still not measuring up in some areas. But if we don't look at that, then we're not able to actually do the work to measure up, right? And so this card says, allow your spirit self to shine through the many roles that you fulfill. So when you are fulfilling your role in your employment, in your career, or when you're fulfilling your role in your family relationships or your romantic relationships or in your path and purpose, when you're fulfilling that role, are you letting that energy of your spirit, your intuition, your surrender to the way everything is supposed to line up perfectly and synchronistically according to the co-creation with the universe? Are you letting that kind of surrender to your spirit self shine through all of your roles and responsibilities. And if you're not, then I guarantee you're going to notice that surrender is actually not being accomplished, right? That there's other elements of surrender that you can tap into. Now, the other aspect of surrender that our guides want us to focus on is the energy of children. The energy of children. I love this card because this is really allowing us to focus on the way children surrender, right? So many times we see children just kind of go with the flow. We see them surrender to a stimulus, maybe something that crossed their path. Maybe it's a new puppy and they're surrendering to the awe and wonder and the kind of excitedness and curiosity of seeing a little puppy, right? Or surrendering to the energy of the people around them. Maybe somebody around them is crying or their mother is upset. I've seen this so many times. When the mother starts to get upset, then the child surrenders to that energy and kind of starts to also emote that same frequency. But there's an energy of harmony that happens with that, and where it kind of pulls the mom out of it, right? Because as soon as the mother sees that her child's being affected by her energy, then everything gets switched over. She redirects it, and then the child feels better. And so there's this element of that with Source as well, where we need to surrender to the way in which Source feels and sees our own path and our own experience, so that when we do mirror and merge and harmonize with that energy, we can create that co-creative flow where Spirit will then understand how we're taking it on and then show us another way of taking things on, or another way of responding or perceiving things that is actually more harmonic. But if we don't get synergized and open to that harmony with Spirit first, then we can end up being really, really stuck in that energy of control and trying to make the outcome that we think we want happen. And that can be so confusing and kind of lead us off of our path for a little bit. So be curious, be adventurous, be innocent like the child. Allow yourself to relax into the adventure and curiosity of what is to come next. The Power of Now, written by Eckhart Tolle, talks a lot about this ability to surrender into the present moment, the now moment. And when you surrender into the moment of now, a really nice way or a nice trick of doing that is to imagine or get excited or just acknowledge that you don't know what's going to happen next. And in that acknowledgement of, I don't know what's going to happen next. I wonder what's going to happen next. I'm curious. I'm excited for it. You start to let go of your desire for what happens next, and you start to just open up to whatever that is. And that's a beautiful energy of surrender. So how can you tap into that? Because we're all co-creating with Source, right? We're all allowing ourselves to receive the guidance from Source based on the path and the experience that it wants for us. And if we're not fully surrendered, how can we really, really, really feel sure that we're walking that path, right? We've got to have that element of surrender so that Source can guide us. It's like, if you try to lead a dog, right, down a path and it's fighting you, right, it's going to be a hard path to walk. But if the dog just allows to surrender and gets playful and excited with everything it sees and what's around the next corner, then it's just a jolly, beautiful walk and stroll, right? And that's what we want, okay? Now, thank you so much for the love donation, Simple Goddess. So grateful. Appreciate all of you. Good to see everybody. I'm seeing Nikki here, Marie here. I'm seeing Nico here. Good to see all of you. Yeah, Nico says, literally me after I woke up today. I feel you. It's a scary prospect kind of, but also exciting to let go of. Yes, of the BS. Yes, Simple Goddess, absolutely. It can be scary to surrender, but so necessary, okay? Now, with that energy, I'm going to just pull a quick card on the scariness of surrender and like how we can really move through that, because I think that's a great, great, great thing to tap into, because it is scary to surrender, and it's only scary if we let it, because we have to recognize that Source sees so much more. Source sees so much more than we do, right? And so we really have to trust. And if we're not surrendering, then we're not really trusting. And so if we're afraid to surrender, then we're recognizing that we're afraid to trust, right? And I love the card that Spirit brings us for this question on how to, release the fear around surrendering. And it says, just like we just talked about, radical curiosity. The child card is very, very much similar, but this is an extension of that same concept, radical curiosity. How can you let yourself, instead of fear, just be completely surrendered to curiosity? The card says, seeing as if for the first time, every time. Wow, beautiful. So anything that we experience is something we've experienced for the first time. Maybe we've experienced something similar in the past, but it's a new experience every single time. So if we can step into this excitement to see something we've never seen before and know that every single experience we have is like that, and just hold on to that sense of curiosity and adventure, then it really starts to dissipate the fear. Okay, so melting mask, activating that energy of the inner child, and using the radical curiosity to move through surrender, okay? And to really start to feel better around the energy of surrender. All right, the next spirit message is all about self-preservation. What is best for you, and understanding that we are in a spiritual war. It is the beginning stages of that. And I've been talking about this for months. So if this sounds new to you, definitely tap into some of my previous readings. But the spiritual war that we're in, the tensions are rising. We're seeing more of that billowing up of energy, billowing up of contrast and duality. People are choosing their side of the war, okay? And in that, it's important for us to choose what's best for us, because everybody else is as well. This is one of those things that is necessary for everyone to kind of be in the place that they need to be for things to align the way they need to be. And so if we're overly conscious about what other people are doing or what other people are choosing for themselves, and we're letting ourselves get distracted by that, we're actually putting off our own choice and causing even more fragility and instability in our own alignment to our role in this all, okay? And so don't get caught up or distracted by everybody else's role or everybody else's choices in this spiritual war. Allow yourself to just focus on what you need, what feels true to you, and stay committed to that. That's also the work aspect of the surrender. If we can stick to the plan, which I'm so grateful for my love Chad, because he really helped ground this in for me today so I could deliver this all to you. But if we really stick to the plan and we allow ourselves to notice, okay, we have this set of things that we know we do to keep ourselves in alignment to our intuition, to our heart, to our path and purpose, to our core values, and to the way in which we express ourselves in the world, right? If we're doing that and we're staying observant on how we can continue to refine and master that expression, then we're doing our job. It's when we start to distract ourselves with how other people are doing that and start to consume ourselves with trying to force or control that path that we end up really kind of distracting ourselves from our own, and then it messes everything up. It actually is not serving the other person either, because that's giving them this kind of crutch where they're not able to make their own choices either, or they're feeling your resistance or pressure to not make the choices that are true to them. And that can really mess things up, okay? It can bring things out of balance. And a big part of duality is appreciating and accepting that not everybody's going to make the same choice as you. Not everybody has the same role in this as you do. And it's important to honor that so that you can just settle into your role and let their role do what it's meant to do in the world as well, okay? This is super, super important. We have to do this. And it's also important to know that, yes, we can still do our healing work in the world. Yes, we can still be, that force of energy that, that helps the, light, illuminate. I'm like, what is the word I'm looking for? Illuminate the world, and shine light on the world. But you don't need to shine, or you don't need to force light onto the world, okay? There's a difference in shining light on the world versus forcing light on the world. And there's any forced energy is going to create a forced outcome or a misaligned outcome, because it wasn't surrendered, right? It wasn't surrendered to source. It was controlled by ego or whatever it is, right? So I'm just pulling a couple cards for some more clarifiers on this. I don't even have to say much. The two cards that come up, trust God. That's it. Like, just trust God. I hope these can come clear, because the focus is a little bit shoddy, but trust God. And it's pretty self-explanatory with that one. why are we not trusting God? Why are we choosing to kind of create a sense of confusion when we don't need to? All we need to do is trust God, and everything will make sense. When we're trying to force things, or when we're, focusing on other people's path and we're not preserving our own, we're not trusting God. And we need to trust what God's doing in their path, and we need to trust what God's doing in our path. It's that simple. The trust card says, while your logical mind is dictating a supposedly clear direction, your soul's inner guidance is urging you to follow an alternative path. The logical path may be one that you consider safe and more familiar, but you could be missing out on boundless opportunities and so much more. So recognizing how your logical mind may be telling you one thing, but your inner guidance may be telling you something different, and go with your inner guidance. Allow yourself to really honor that, because if your logic is trying to keep you safe or trying to do the same things that it's done in the past, it's not actually going to be as aligned as if you can go with your heart and focus on what God is showing you need to do next, and how to trust God in that process. That's pretty much it. I don't think I have to say anything else with that one. All right, so that is self-preservation, is trusting God. And it's also lining up with what you need to do best for you and staying on your path, even if other people aren't on theirs, okay? You only want to kind of allow yourself to be that luminary or healer for those who are asking for it and who have sought it from you. If they haven't sought it from you, or they're not asking for it, or you're not in a conversation where they're like, tell me more, then you don't need to tell them more, okay? If they're resistant, if they're saying, I don't want to hear it, or I don't believe that, or I'm not ready for that information, honor that and trust that God will do the rest when they're ready, okay? All right, next message is all about abundance. And this is beautiful. This is such an energy of excitement and prosperity from the work we're putting in and the discipline we're having, and being committed to the path, being committed to our soul work, being committed to our intuition and following it, being committed to surrendering, okay? Abundance is on the other side of those commitments and those disciplines. And it says, and my message on this was, abundance for those who see what they desire and follow it, okay? Who see what they desire and follow it. Prosperity for those who don't get distracted by other things, okay? And so distraction is a big, big theme, because when we're focusing on surrendering, if we have a bunch of distractions, that's what keeps us from surrendering, right? Distraction is kind of an enemy to surrender. And so allow yourself to notice how distractions in other ways may be blocking your abundance, because it's keeping you from looking at what you desire and what your goals are, or what you already have that you're grateful for. And those distractions are actually having you focus on things that are not in alignment to the way you want to manifest. If you're focusing on the bills, or you're focusing on the stress, or you're focusing on fear or paranoia, or you're focusing on the hardships of the world instead of the blessings of the world and the way things are transforming, then you're actually going to be blocking a lot of your abundance, okay? I'm feeling the Angel of Atlantis cards for the abundance message. Taking some deep breaths for yourself if there's any specific abundance blockages or questions or concerns you're having in your life, and just allowing the cards to speak through your higher self and for us all in regards to abundance. We'll put one more with this because I want to just get a little clarifier. Beautiful. So the way to get to our abundance, okay? Meditation, first and foremost, meditation is going to help us link up to our abundance and align more to the ways in which we can see how to get there. Okay, so we're going to get really good inspirations and ideas about abundance when we meditate. And in that meditation, we're surrendering, right? We're letting go of the stress. We're letting go of the worry. We're letting go of the belief systems around abundance that may be clouding our vision. And we're just stepping into a place of mental clarity. And when we do, we get the intuition. We get the intuition that leads us to our abundance, that gives us and shows us the way. And so with that intuition, it is our most innate survival skill, like I always say. And so when we meditate, we allow that intuition to show us the way to our abundance. And it also helps to see what we actually desire. Maybe some of you don't know what you want. Maybe some of you have gone through so much change that you don't even know what to think about it or what to do next, or what you would like from all of this, right? Let yourself surrender and ask spirit. Stop thinking about it. Stop distracting yourself with needing to know it all. Stop distracting yourself with the pressure of having to have the answer or having to know what to focus on to manifest, and just go into meditation and ask your intuition to tell you what you desire, to show you what you need most or what you want most, okay? That's another element of surrender that's so important. And when we can honor the benefits of surrender like that, we end up feeling a lot less scared to do it, and we have a much more beautiful relationship with it, okay? So meditation and intuition can absolutely help you access your abundance and allow yourself to find the way to gain even more of it through knowing what it is you need to focus on to get there, okay? All right, last message on the spirit side of everything. Actually, second to last message. Yes, second to last message. This one is going to be about duality, hidden duality versus expressive duality. I think it's overt. Is overt like the word that you say when it's like exposed or out there? Let me know. I'm not like the best at vocabulary today. I had a ceremony this AM and I was like, whew, in another dimension, and I'm still not grounded all the way into my words. So, but yeah, this is an energy of hidden duality versus revealed duality, right? Or on the surface duality. And a lot of us have been feeling and dealing with the kind of duality that's on the surface, that's right in our face, that we're being thrown, it's being thrown at us and kind of right there on the surface. But now, this week particularly, we're going to start to see some of the hidden duality, some of the hidden contrasts, some of the things under the surface that maybe something looked very harmonic on the surface, but now it's going to start to look a little bit disharmonic. We're going to start to see some unveiling of that, okay? Unexpected and surprising and also subtle dualities showing up in our relationships, in our environments, in the world as a whole, and within ourselves. So noticing what subtle dualities you're starting to see coming to the surface this week will be really, really helpful in guiding you through your path in a graceful way. Let me know if all of you can still hear me. I haven't seen the chat very active in the last few minutes. I just want to make sure everybody's good, because this tech stuff has been crazy with the Mercury retrograde. So let me know if you're all still with me. Send me a little thumbs up. I'm just going to pull a card on this duality aspect. Okay, so with hidden duality and things coming to the surface, what do we need to do? We need to have radical honesty. We need to have radical honesty. Thanks, everybody. Okay, good. I'm glad you're up here still listening. Thank you so much. So radical honesty. What does radical honesty look like? It means being honest with yourself, even when other people don't see what you need to be honest with yourself on. It's being honest with what you're seeing outside of yourself, even if it means something that you're uncomfortable with or not used to, or it means you have to act on something or do something that kind of separates you from something you see, right? That's kind of you're being honest about. So when we see duality that's been hidden, we've got to ourselves. We got to be like, listen, this is dualistic experience. That's duality. Like it's anything but that. I'm going to honor that it is that. Based on what I see here that is undeniable, what to do next, right? Because a lot of us maybe will see something rise up to the surface and we're like, oh, we don't want to see that. I'm just going to pretend like I didn't see that. Or that's not what that is. It's probably not that. That's probably not it. And just moving on, right? We got to stop doing that. We have to be honest with what we see, because we've trained our intuition to this point to do what it needs to do to keep us safe. And if we don't honor and trust that and be radically honest with what we're seeing, then we're not keeping ourselves safe. We're putting the wool back over our eyes and walking blindly. And this message is so perfect for this. It says to believe in the facade is to stand in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. Whoa, that's a pretty powerful statement. To believe in the facade, which is that fake kind of playwright energy, to believe in the facade is to suffocate, to not even be able to breathe, because you're armored by alienation, that isolation, that self-defeat, and self-denial. Okay, so we have to take that mask off, right? We go back to the melting mask card here, and we have to honor that if we're seeing and very present in our experience, we have to honor that that's real. We can't put this facade up and pretend like it's not real, because we're cloaking ourselves in self-denial. We're denying ourselves of our truth, and we're denying ourselves of the protection needed to even conquer or win that fight, right? We end up just surrendering to self-defeat, and that is not what we're meant to surrender to, okay? We're meant to surrender to co-creation with Source. We're meant to surrender to our trust in Source, our faith in God, right? We're meant to surrender to the blessings and prosperity we know are coming to us, and our intuition that's leading us there, all right? So be radically honest with yourself on areas that you're not really doing that work in, okay? It's so essential. And this is a perfect segue, okay? Because the last spirit message before we tap into some astrology a little bit, the last spirit message is all about self-worth. What do we deserve? How is our self-esteem right now? Are we really, really trusting in the way in which Source sees us and the plan that Source has for us? Or are we constantly doubting what Source keeps trying to show us and affirm us in? So that's another way of being radically honest with yourself. If you're wanting all this success, all this abundance, confidence, new relationships, whatever success and goals you have in your life, if you're wanting all that, you got to be real with yourself on if you even believe you deserve it, or if you even have the confidence or self-esteem that supports that. Because if you don't, that's probably why it hasn't happened yet. We have to see ourselves as worthy in order for us to feel worthy enough to take that mask off and to not accept self-defeat or self-denial, and to really honestly move forward in what we know is real, right? And so we've got to be confident enough for that. It's huge. It's huge. So how is your self-worth? How is your self-esteem? Focus on this week, because if you aren't allowing yourself to tap into the integration of that new moon in Gemini that allows you to adapt to transformation, allows you to be clear and intuitive with yourself, and also allows you to step into more of that outgoing energy, you're going to miss out on the ways in which that can help you become more confident, okay? The card for this one is Soul Power. Your self-worth is your soul power, and you already have it. It's already gifted to you. Sorry, y'all, the autofocus just doesn't love me ever, but that's okay. So this is there it goes. This is soul power for self-worth, okay? Honoring your soul power, recognizing that you already have it, and knowing that Source knows you have it. And that's why Source is giving you the ideas and inspiration and the desires to go do the work to get you to where you want to be. But if you don't believe in your soul power, then you're just kind of that dog that's refusing to walk the path, right? You're sitting there wanting to have those cool experiences, but not letting yourself be guided into them and feeling confident enough to walk forward, right? So important. So it says, always remember, you're a soul that comes with a body, not a body that comes with a soul. Your soul is your true essence, and you have an unlimited supply of soul power at your command whenever you need it. So if you're feeling disheartened, or you're feeling like you don't have a lot of self-worth or self-esteem, and you're feeling down, make sure you remember that you can call on your infinite supply of soul power. You can call on your higher self to remind you of the power you have and the purpose you have. You can call on Source to show you how to see yourself the way Source sees you. But you have to ask. You have to ask for it. You have to pray for it. You have to stay in that place of, depression, like the radical honesty card says, then you're going to be closed off from the ability to even have that confidence. And that's why it's going to feel like you don't have it. It's not that it's not there, it's that you're closed off to it, and that you're refusing to tap into it. You're refusing to connect to it, okay? So don't be stubborn like that. If you're going to be stubborn in the discipline and commitment it takes to stay surrendered and stay trusting in God and stay on the path of your purpose, right? And to do the things that keep to your intuition. Channel that stubbornness into that, okay? But not into things that are going to backfire on you or cause more resistance or just trauma in your path, right? All right, everybody. So those are all the spirit messages. We talked about surrender. We talked about abundance. We talked about self-preservation, and we talked about our self-worth. Okay. And we have all these beautiful cards to read. The children card, radical curiosity, trusting in God, meditating for your intuitive power, and radical honesty of your soul power so that you can step more into the clarity you need to be in. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the astrology influences and then we'll jet. I hope this reading has been awesome. Please comment with how you've enjoyed these kind of new ways of doing things, pulling the cards and talking about the notes. I think it's super fun and it adds this element of additional magic with the guides and the cards. So for astrology, okay, let's talk about today real quick. We have Venus in Cancer today, sextiling Uranus in Taurus. And this is going to be where we're going to see opportunities for success in love and money. And I will say that this is an energy where we get to dream and start going for it. Okay. Uranus in Taurus is where we're dreaming and going for it. Okay. Venus in Cancer is where we're kind of expanding into more pleasure and abundance and love for all that is. And the Cancer energy feeling, you know, like we can do it. Like we can really have this abundance. We can have this love. We can have this success. And so we get a little bit more self-confidence with that Cancer energy as well. And the ability to feel confident through our emotions. We also have the Sun in Gemini. Obviously, we're still in Gemini season for another week, squaring Neptune in Pisces today as well. And that is going to feel a little bit like this radical honesty card. Okay, it's gonna feel a lot like we're taking off the veil. We're realizing that we've been, you know, doing things a little bit off balance or not fully, and it's gonna be a little exhausting to see the truth. But it's necessary to see the truth. So it's good that the Venus in Cancer energy, sextiling Uranus and Taurus is kind of great for that success and love and kind of lifting us up, because the Sun in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces is kind of like, hey, shine some light on some stuff. You haven't been doing what you think you've been doing all the way. Time to be real with yourself so you can get that tidied up. Okay. The next transit is June 14th, where Saturn is in Aquarius, squaring Uranus in Taurus. And this is a time where we want to adapt. We want to use the Gemini energy that is so good at adapting to change. And we want to use that fully by being observant and then moving accordingly. Don't react, just respond, right? We have a lot of healing opportunities when we choose to respond instead of react, when we choose to be more centered and aware and patient and then choose to act versus to just impulsively react, right? So that's going to be a big one for June 14th. And that's just tomorrow. So just pay attention for that tomorrow. And then the last transit that I want to mention is June 20th. Okay, June 20th, where Jupiter goes retrograde in Pisces. Yeah, we've got another one, y'all. We got another one. So Jupiter going retrograde is going to be the 4th retrograde that we're in currently. Right now, we are in Pluto retrograde until October 6th. We're in Saturn retrograde until October 11th. We're in Mercury retrograde until June 22nd. And now we've got this beautiful Jupiter retrograde starting on the 20th. So we will have a couple of days with that 4 retrogrades happening all at once. And then as soon as June 22nd hits, Mercury will start stationing direct, and then we'll still be in 3 retrogrades versus 4. Okay. So this Jupiter retrograde, and I'm going to pull a card on it. This Jupiter retrograde is really going to kind of cause us to see additional changes happening in our path, feeling a lot more shifts going on, but they're not going to feel as lucky or aligned as the shifts that we've been feeling lately, where things have kind of been changing and showing us how the change is going to work out for the better. This Jupiter retrograde is going to give us the same changes, but it's not going to be as synchronistic or feel as lucky or successful. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be as successful. It just means that it's not going to feel that way at first. Okay. So this is going to be some shifts and changes that we're maybe not exactly sure why they're happening. Maybe they don't make sense as to what has been happening, thus far, but they are definitely still necessary changes. So this is going to be an important time to be patient to let things play out and to let ourselves see the full reasoning behind changes before we respond or before we really react negatively. Let the changes play out during this Jupiter retrograde. And this is going to be a 4-month retrograde. Okay, so this is going to be for June, July, August, and September. So we're going to be in this one until September as well. So use your intuition during this Jupiter retrograde when it hits on the 20th. And that's going to be a big way to keep balance in responding appropriately to change, so that you can kind of intuit, why is this change happening? Even though it doesn't seem to make sense on the surface, let's use our intuition to dive deeper into understanding why it's happening, or just dive deeper into allowing yourself to surrender to it, okay? All right, last little this one, with this Jupiter going retrograde, we have, it goes this way, growth and delusion. Growth and delusion. Now, these cards are really saying that we are going to be growing through that lack of understanding at first. It's going to feel weird, right? When changes happen that we don't understand, it is kind of a delusion because we're not really noticing why this happens. We're not seeing all the details clearly. We feel a little bit stooped and confused. And that delusion is in our face, kind of causing us to assume things that maybe aren't really what it is. And so we need to grow through the delusion by using our intuition and not reacting too quickly, but instead being patient while we observe how the changes unfold and where they go next. Going right back to that curiosity in surrender, right? Surrendering to knowing, hey, I might not know why this is happening. It might feel really weird and awkward. But guess what? I'm going to surrender to it because Source knows why it's happening. Source has the plan. And I'm just going to be curious about it. I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder how this is going to go. I'm just going to keep adapting to it in a curious and fun and playful way until it all makes sense. Okay, that's how we want to attack this week. And that's how we want to continue attacking the energy of the Jupiter retrograde and the other retrogrades we're going through. Okay, we've done a lot of retrograde work this year, and we're going to keep doing it. All right, so that Saturn retrograde is helping us understand where we need to be more disciplined and take more responsibility for our actions in certain areas. The Pluto retrograde is helping us to be responsible for letting go of things and leaving things behind that are just not meant to be brought into our future, and to have the wisdom from that we're meant to gain. And then we have that Mercury retrograde helping us to sharpen our communication skills, not just with each other and ourselves, but with Source and our spirit guides. And then this Jupiter retrograde is helping us to really see where we need to surrender more, where we need to align to, the things that we don't understand, and just find growth and expansion in that from there. Okay? Pretty epic reading. What do you think? How are you all feeling? We have so many cards here, and I'm so grateful to have done this. I'm going to pull one more card just as an overall card from the Mary Magdalene deck, just to close us out, an overall card of the energy. We had that surrender main theme, but whatever the cards want to pull for us for our main energy. Oh, this is so cute. This could make me cry. Mary Magdalene just giving us an internal embrace, letting us know that we're always supported, we're always comforted, we're always held in spirit, and that there is this beautiful connection to spirit and to our intuition that feels so home to us. Through our surrender, through our trust, we are being held. And Mary Magdalene, she represents compassion and unconditional love and surrender to change that may be unknown or unexplained at first, but make all the sense later. And so she's holding us, letting us know that she understands what it feels like to be afraid of surrender and to be swept up in delusion or confusion and to feel like we just don't have all the answers we need. But she's saying, it's okay, embrace it. And she's embracing us, and so is Source and our higher selves in our journey through this life and through this week. All right. The monthly card of June was the Blessings of Al-Hakim, which is all about finding blessings from struggle and really allowing the work to give us the blessings we need to have, and also finding integrity in receiving our blessings, having pure intention so that we receive our blessings from there. So also tap into that energy. And I'll be right back again next week for a brand new weekly reading. Make sure to tap into my OnlyFans, y'all, because I just premiered my first music video off of the Hippie Vixen album. It is super epic and fun. I did a full live premiere on my OnlyFans of it, and it's so, so awesome. And this is the only chance you're actually going to get to watch the brand new music video for the next couple weeks. And if you don't join OnlyFans and start tapping into that content, it will be continually one of those things where you might not see a music video for a couple more weeks, because everything's going to be exclusively released on there and then released publicly a week or two later. So if you want those exclusive releases, if you want to have all the additional content that I'm putting out all week on my OnlyFans, make sure to tap in. It's totally free to subscribe, and you get a chance to see all the other things I'm offering there, including my Starseed Saturday meditations, mini reading Mondays, which are kind of like a quick, brief recount of these readings. And then I'm also going to be doing some other segments as well. I've been doing a shadow work series on there that I'm going to add to pretty soon. Also my Own Your Own Story series, where I'm talking about my own history and my own kind of upbringing with this gift that I've always had, and my path and my journey in that. So there's tons of stuff to tap into. Plus you get all the nice BTS and exclusive premieres of my music videos and media for Hippie Vixen. All right, so don't miss out on that. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for tuning with me. Thank you for all your birthday wishes last week. Thank you for your patience and a little bit of the tech difficulties we had last week and not getting it out on time. And thank you also for sticking around when I had no sound in the beginning of this. So I love all of you so much. You are always so, so great. Such loyal fans, such loyal soul tribe friends and family, and so I'm so grateful to have you. So thank you for continuing to add to this Web of Light community, and I'll see you again right here 1:11 p.m. Central Time for a brand new weekly reading next week. And I'll be in Arizona next week, so I'll be from my Arizona set next week, which will be fun. All right, loves, I'll see you then. Peace.